So what we're going to do today is pseudo class and pseudo elements. So we're going to continue from our selector. So now pseudo class. Now we are going to start from pseudo class. So whenever you hear about pseudo class is a way of styling your element, the state of an element. So to style the state of an element. So now let's go straight into. I'm going to bring in an anchor tag. So inside, I'm going to write anything, my link. So anywhere. So my link to anywhere. So let me bring this, minimize. So now I'm going to I'll come up here and bring my style sheet. So I'm going to use the internal styling. So here I'm going to call this anchor tag. So first of all, let me copy the path, go to this my page and paste it there. So this is my page. So you can see the link. So it says link to anywhere. Now the pseudo class, this is how we use the pseudo class. We can style each state of this element. So I can call the anchor tag. Now using the pseudo class, we use one column. So after the element or the item you are trying to, whether the element or the class you are trying to style will be here before the column, then the pseudo class. So the pseudo class, that is the state you are trying to style. So for this anchor tag, I'm trying to style the link, just the link. This link means when you just enter this page for the first time, this is how this is going to look like. So when I come in here, I will say when my user enters the website, the color should be green. So color should be green. And let me also give you background color of green yellow. So I'm just trying to, so when I enter the website, this is how it's going to look like. The color of the text will be green, and so now let me just add padding there, padding of 10 px, so we can be able to see it visible. So now look at it. Now, okay, I don't feel like my green here has been applied. So I believe that it is because of its anchor tag. So now this element, this thing we just did here is just styling the website whenever you come to that website for the first time. Now you can write this, because we're dealing with pseudo class, that's why I'm putting this link. You can choose to put this, or you can choose not to put it. So it's the same thing, whether you just write A or you put this, it's just the same thing. So the next thing we're going to do is, you can just, the next state we're going to style will be styling it when somebody have clicked on this link. So we want to style it when someone has clicked on this link. So we can say when someone has clicked on the link, so we're going to do the pseudo class, and then you're going to give it, so we're going to write visited, curly braces, background color. So let me use a different background color. Let me use red here. So now this thing I believe is going to shine red. The moment when I refresh, it's going to shine red because this link has been clicked on. So it was shining green because the only state that is there was the green. Now when the link is clicked on, it will always shine red. So it's shining red because this link has already been clicked on. So now the next thing we can style is when you hover on the link, when you take your mouse on top of the link. So this is another pseudo class we can also apply. So when you hover on the link, you can say the background color to be, so background color should be, let me use gold. So when I refresh, when I hover on it, you can see the background color is gold. So So now the next one we have is, so we can style it. So you can also style it when the link is active. So when the link is active, you can just say style it when the link is active. You can give it background. So when the link is active, curly braces, give it a background color, and give it background color blue. When I refresh, you can see when I click on it and hold it, the link is blue. So when the link is active, when I take my mouse out, it is back to red, meaning the link has been visited. If I hover on it, it is gold. So this is how you style the state of an element, that is when it comes to the link. So now we can also, another one we can do is that we can do for the input field. So we have the input. So you can come up here and I refresh. This is my input field. You can now remember the input field is where you put your single line text. So here I can call the input field and say input and just style it. You don't need to put any pseudo-class. So I can give it any style, background color. I don't really need to do this, but let me go ahead. Background color aqua. So give it a padding and a width. So padding of 10 px and a width. So a width of and a width of 300 px. Let's see if this style has been applied. So this is it. So next thing I'm going to do is give it a border radius. So all these are just unnecessary style. I'm just trying to use it to make this thing look a little bit nicer. So I'm going to give this 12 px for the border radius. So let's see. This is it. This input field. So you can still make it a little bit more curved to look nicer. 40 px. Alright, this is better. So now this input field, right now when you enter the website, this is what is going to be shining, and when I put my cursor in it and start typing, this is it. So but I can still style the different states again. So I can still say when you hover on it, like the other one. So when you hover on it, curly braces, so put my cursor, my column, hover. I want it to have a background color of, so a background color of, pick any color you want. I'm going to go with this dark salmon. Refresh. When I hover on it, that is it. So now I can also style it when you focus on that input field. So I now say input. When you focus on it, curly braces, I want it to have a background color of probably yellow. So when you focus on it, so when I refresh, when I hover on it, is it. When I focus on it, it's yellow. So this is styling the state of an element. So now let's move over to the for other elements like your p tag, your h1, and so on. All you just need to do is just call the element and style it, and then apply the hover state on it. That's all you can do for the other elements. So now let's go straight to the pseudo element. So pseudo element is where you style. You can style before and after an element. Now let's say I'm going to. So let me go get into my document. So I'm going to go and grab an image. So let me grab in an image from here. So let's grab this, copy this, and bring it to where we are working. So alright, so we are working in our desktop. This is it. I'm working here, so I'm going to paste that picture here. So now I've pasted that. When I come here, you can see that avatar displaying here. So now we can also start before and after an element. I can just call this input field specifically and say input Now let me put a break here so that the input comes below. So BR. So you can do two things. You can put a break, or you can change this to display block. So give it. Let me give it a margin of top, margin. Alright, you know what? So I'm going to give this a display block instead. So display block, converting this input field to a block level element. So then I'm going to give it a margin top of 200 just to push it down very well. Alright, so now I'm dealing with this input field. So now the next thing I can do again is that now let's go to the pseudo element. So now this is what I want to do here. So what I want to do here is I'm going to call that input field input, and we're going to apply pseudo element before it. So the pseudo element accepts before and after an element. So before this element we can add two column there. So when it comes to pseudo element, it's two column. In the pseudo class, it's a single column. So then I'm going to say before this input field, I'm going to bring in element called content, a property called content. I'll use the URL, and I'm going to bring that output, and I'm going to write the avatar there. So when I refresh, so what you're going to see is okay. For some reason this has not taken effect yet. So what I'll do is I'll ignore I feel like it's because of the pseudo class that I've already applied. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ignore this style, remove this style. Let's remove this style, comment on it. So bring back this element back to where it is. Also I'm going to come down here, I'll bring a p tag. So I'll bring a h1. I'm going to say my heading, and I'm going to bring a p tag. So just use a lorem to generate text. So now for the h1, instead of this, when I refresh, this is what I'm going to get. So now I'm going to use it, instead of using the input field, I'll use the h1. So before the h1, I'm trying to apply this content. When I refresh, you can see it. So before the h1, the text is already, the content I wanted to apply is being applied. So we can use the before pseudo element to apply something before your product, that element. So we can also apply it after also. So you can say h1 after the h1 double colon after the h1, and do the same thing, content. So content, and then URL double quote. So double quote. So when I refresh, you see that stuff after it. So you can add before and after an element using the pseudo element. So now we can also do other stuff, like you can start the first letter of an element. You can also start the first line of an element. Like for the example, the p tag, we call the p tag. So do a double colon. You can say first letter, curly braces. So we can say the first letter, I want to increase the font size. So let me give you very big numbers, 60px. When I refresh, the first letter is going to increase to 60px. Can even give it color if I want. So your choice. So for the first letter here of the p tag is being styled. We can also style the first line if we want. It's called the same p tag, double colon, first line. So first line. So this time I'm going to give it background color. Pick different color. is it pink? So when I refresh, this is it. So the first line is being styled. I feel like this color just hide the red. So let me bring it towards something like this. Right, fine. Now you can see the first line is being styled. Now if I try to minimize it, it will always focus on the first line, only the first line. So this is it. So the pseudo class is used to style the state of an element, while the pseudo element you can use it to style before and after an element, and also style the first letter or first line. And there are many more other pseudo elements. You can check your W3 school to see many other pseudo elements and pseudo classes that you can also style. So see you in our next class.